2 protesters died last night. Officials deny government forces were responsible. Today, crowds were smaller. Anger over Iran's economy triggered the protests, but it has turned political with denunciations of the government's conservative elite and the Iranian intervention in the Syrian and Iraqi conflicts. The elected reformist President Hassan Rouhani spoke publicly last hour, saying people had the right to protest, but not to the point of violence.
The latest is that the demonstrations are continuing all over Iran. More demonstrations have started in new cities, that there were no demonstrations in the past 3 days. I'm sure we will see more demonstrations in the next few days. And the government has started to suppress the demonstrators in major cities, at least. We have seen the narrowing of the internet bandwidth, the shutting down of a major messaging app, Telegram, that is very similar to WhatsApp, and Telegram has been the main way for people in Iran to communicate with each other, to organize each other, to organize demonstrations. And Telegram was shut down, Instagram was shut down, and before that, of course, Facebook and Twitter was blocked as well. So the government is going to deprive people of any space to manifest what they want, but people try to express themselves as much as they want. I'm not sure whether the demonstrations will go on for the next few weeks or for months. It's very difficult to understand who are the demonstrators exactly, what are their objectives. Everyone, all the pundits, all the analysts, all the reporters, all the people in the government are surprised by the spread of these demonstrations all over the country. Because as you remember, in 2009, the demonstrations were only in the major cities, and especially in Tehran. Millions of people came out in Tehran. These days, the demonstrations are not as big as in 2009, but they are more widespread. So it's very difficult to predict what is going to happen in the next few days, weeks, or months.
And, you know, as you've been mentioning, perhaps there's not as much clarity in terms of the motivation, according to you, you know, different from the Green Movement back in 2009, the Green Revolution, rather, in 2009. So in your best estimation, certainly there's been reports that some of the motivation is economic and some of it political as well when it comes to involvement in Syria and Iraq by Iran. So what are the motivations for many of these demonstrators? Is there any clear or unified path?
There is no clear motivation. The main motivation of those who come to the streets is frustration. Frustration with a government in the past 4 decades that has not been able to provide for its people. A government that's been run by a clique of clerics, a government that has been corrupt, un-Islamic, even though it calls itself Islamic Republic, a government that has been dictatorial, and the government that has made Iran and Iranian people a pariah in the international stage. So people are just frustrated with this government in the past 4 decades. And that's why you see a hodgepodge of slogans. People say death to the dictator. Some people are nostalgic about the pre-revolutionary regime, the Shah's time. They say that they are asking the son of the Shah, who's been living in the U.S. for the past 4 decades, to come back and solve their problems. There are others who just say that our protests are apolitical and we just have economic needs. So it's the motivations are multi-layered, but the main motivation of these people who come to the streets, they are risking their lives to come to the streets. And as you saw in the city of Durud, at least 2 people were killed. It is the frustration that people have with the clerical establishment in the past 4 decades.